Alright everyone, welcome back into another NBA betting video. We are going to be breaking down today's NBA slate. We are getting some decent edges here today, mostly due to some players being out. So specifically for the Spurs, we are getting a very good bet for De'Aaron Fox with Wemby and Castle out for them. So we'll be talking about that. We also are getting some okay spots in Portland and also with Utah. So we'll be touching on that. But first, let's go ahead and get into a quick recap from yesterday. So guys, yesterday the hot streak in NBA continued. So over the last 2 days, we've been 13-4-16 with our NBA bets, which is obviously pretty good. And I think it's worth highlighting kind of why. So we see James Harden and LaMelo Ball, two bets where we're getting, pretty solid edges on, but they literally barely edged out their overs. Okay, LaMelo Ball had 38 for a fantasy score. I even mentioned in the video that I'm like, 0.5 for a prop line difference between PrizePicks and underdog might not seem like much, but it could end up being the difference between a bet hitting or not hitting. And it literally happened there. So obviously a little bit of luck there, but that's coming in off of the Monday where I felt like we were a little bit unlucky there with Devin Booker. And then we did get a Giannis DNP with him getting injured early on that game. It did seem like he was going to get that over. And we did have Josh Hart pretty much clutch up at the end, but very good day yesterday. Hopefully we can keep that up today. I do want to start off with some of those pretty good edges that we are getting once again. So let's do that. All right, so one of the better bets I think is going to end up being De'Aaron Fox to get over his 42 for his fantasy score. So this was already a bet that I liked a decent amount prior to us getting the underdog line. Now the data is updating right now. Literally just got these lines as I started recording this video, or about to start recording this video. His underdog line is at 43.5, so not a big difference, but it does end up kind of being like that LaMelo Ball one where it could end up being the difference between this bet hitting or not hitting. Really, the reason why we like this bet is going to be because of his per 36 production with Wemby and also with Castle off the court. And on top of that, we look at the last two games, he's been able to get the over as well, which kind of coincides with what I'm about to say. So he averages 25.3 points per 36, 2.1 rebounds, not that much, and then 13.7 assists. So some people maybe don't like betting on the fantasy score. If you guys are someone that wants to bet on his over 7.5 assists, that would also be a pretty decent bet. It's not a terrible game in terms of like the game total, but it's also not bad. And we do see kind of what he's been able to do the last couple of games. That has very much rooted in the minutes that he's been able to get, 35 and 33. Again, he is going to have that increased usage as well with those players off the court. So that's a bet that I like, especially in that match with Memphis that is projected to stay close. And then another one that's, pretty similar to that is going to be Keontae George to get over his fantasy score. And if we look at it, guys, the underdog score is at 34.5. So again, a little bit of an edge there in comparison. But when we compare it to all the other data points that we have coming in, very solid bet for us, guys. So the true average line, this is based off of the sportsbook line. This is at almost 36, so that ends up being a very good spot for us. We look at the game log. The game log has been pretty consistent. He has gotten the over as well, so we do like that. Again, it's a game here that is high scoring here for Utah. We like that, 238 total points, but a little bit of a blowout risk. That is a concern. But for the most part, we look at his minutes. The minutes have been pretty high for him, relatively speaking. So it is definitely going to be based off of the minutes. We look at 27 minutes 3 games ago, and obviously he got the under there. So very much predicated on the minutes being at least at 31, but overall, a little bit of an edge there. So we do like getting to that spot as well. And then we do have another over bet, but more so on underdog, guys. So we got Jaylen Brown here for over his fantasy score of 40, while they have it at 39.95. Okay, again, this is a better bet on underdog. I'm showing you guys it on the PrizePicks NBA Optimizer. If we look at the underdog line in comparison to all the other data points that we have coming in, this bet is checking all the boxes. And he also gets a very good matchup against Brooklyn. Now, the concern here would be the low scoring game, very low scoring game, 223.5 total points. Also, it's a spread in which it could end up being a blowout. So we do hate that. But obviously, if it's a blowout, Jaylen Brown's going to be part of the reason as to why, and it does end up being a very good matchup. If you guys want to bet on his under, you would obviously do it on PrizePicks right now. Okay, so that is the bet, though, that we are getting to on underdog. And then another bet in this game that we're actually looking at is going to be Derek White. So we are going to notice his line is off by 1 compared to PrizePicks and underdog. The data with PrizePicks is more leaning towards the under bet, but we look at his splits and he has consistently been getting this over. I'm kind of indifferent about this. I do think I'll probably be running out the over more so on underdog, paired up with Jaylen Brown there. But at the same time, this was a bet that I wanted to call out there for you guys. Now we're going to go ahead and jump on into some other bets that I like that are popping up. And these are going to be more bets that you guys could use on PrizePicks, but kind of just better traditional sportsbook bets overall. So we got Cedric Coward to get over 12.5 points. This is a bet that I don't mind. He does need to shoot the basketball better. We take a peek at his game log, guys, and it is pretty ugly. 3 for 8, 3 for 12, 3 for 10, 4 for 12, 7 for 10, great, and then 2 for 10. He just hasn't shot the basketball well recently, but it really doesn't take much for him to get the over then in any of these games where he just barely missed it, right? One more basket here, one more basket here, 2 more here. It just doesn't take much. And he is someone that, with Memphis being really banged up in this game, with Ja Morant still out and a bunch of other players out as well, his per 36 production is through the roof. Now, we only have projected for 27 minutes. We're kind of hoping that he ends up getting a little bit more than that, but he does average 19.6 points per 36. And so even if he gets to 27 minutes, what we're going to notice is that this line ends up being a little bit too low. So this over bet, not a terrible bet, again, more for traditional sites. Then we go ahead and get into another bet here, guys. That's going to be Devin Vassell to get over his, well, I like his points and assists the best. And again, this is not really going to be a bet that you would want to get to on PrizePicks because we are being told to bet on the under. The under has about a 51% likelihood to hit. And all the data points are telling us to bet the under, but we got to look at who's out. Wemby's out, and then Castle's out, and Dylan Harper is out as well. So we haven't projected to get 29 minutes. I hope that ends up being wrong. He has been someone that has been getting more run than that recently. So 34 minutes in that last game, which was kind of a similar game, and he was able to get the over there in that game. He does average, again, 20.7 points, 3.7 assists, 6.3 rebounds. And so I think this ends up being the better bet there for Castle. And then just sticking with that game, guys, I don't mind the idea of jumping on Keldon Johnson here as well. A little bit of a game stacking opportunity. Maybe not a bet that you need to go in on too much, but his points and rebounds is probably the spot I would want to get to, but I actually also don't mind his points, rebounds, and assists for that over here. Johnson is someone that I do worry about the minutes with, only projected to get 25 minutes. I do think that ends up being an accurate projection, and so if he does end up getting that, we are a little bit worried about it. His per 36 production, again, kind of a small sample size here for the Spurs, just as an FYI this season, but it's through the roof. 24.2 points and 14.8 rebounds with all those players off the court. And so obviously that does seem to be a pretty darn good spot for us there as well. Then I want to go ahead and jump on into Portland, guys. We are getting a couple of decent spots there, I would say, as well. So Drew Holiday is going to be out for Portland, and that makes me want to be on Jeremy Grant. So Jeremy Grant is someone that has his fantasy score at 30, and I think this is vastly too low. Now, we have seen the minutes kind of be spread out for Portland. That's part of it. So he's only projected to get 31 minutes. In the last game, was able to get to 39. He rarely is getting over 30 minutes. So that is definitely the concern with this bet. But his per 36 production with Drew Holiday off the court is 38.9 fantasy points scored per 36. He does average 25 points scored as well per 36. And so maybe you want to get to his over points. I wouldn't hate that bet. Again, that's going to end up being a better traditional sportsbook bet there instead. Again, we are just hoping that he ends up getting a little bit more run than what he's projected to get. Then one other player that I like as well for Portland is going to be Shadion Sharp to get over really his fantasy score. I think this one is really too low, but even over his points is too low as well. They just all seem to be a little bit too low. So we'll start with his fantasy score here of 36.5, guys. Per 36 wise with Drew Holiday off the court, averages 44.2 fantasy points per 36. This is a high scoring game, and it's a game that is projected to stay close, which actually ends up being a big thing for us. I do think there's a good chance that he ends up getting over the 30 minutes that we haven't projected to get. But even with those projected minutes, it is something that's expected to be close. And so if he does end up getting a little bit more run, we obviously like that there. Really crushed it in the last game. If you just wanted to get to his over points instead, you could. I think that ends up being a little bit of a better bet, but at the same time, those are two bets that correlate as well. I do like pairing Grant and Sharp up together. I didn't necessarily have a bet that we could run out in a stack with that. Now, I do just want to zoom out and just take a peek at what the board is sitting at right now. And we aren't really getting any plus EV bets right now, which is a little bit shocking for a Tuesday slate. You know, typically speaking, we're getting some much better edges. We got Isaiah Collier to get over his fantasy score of 22.5, which is not a terrible one. If he does end up getting 27 minutes, I don't mind that. Even in blowout, he is someone that still should get some run. And so I don't think this is a terrible bet. He obviously has gotten the over the last few games as well. So I think we could get there. And I actually don't mind the idea of pairing him up with like Luka for over his fantasy score. Luka is someone where we are getting a decent prop line difference with the two sites as well. And I know this is an NBA prop spending video, but I do want to call it one bet that I like on underdog as well. Again, we're on the PrizePicks optimizer just for consistency purposes. showing you guys this bet that I like on underdog. The average sportsbook line has it at 36.4. The projection data does not like the over here. That's the one concern, but PrizePicks has it at 35.5. So overall, I do like this bet here for the over on underdog. Could end up being a middling bet as well if you guys want to get there as well to bet the under on PrizePicks. That was really it in regards to like college basketball bets that we were getting that stood out, unfortunately. This one's okay. Like Donnie Freeman to get over his fantasy score. Don't hate that. But that was really it. It's been a very annoying start to the season thus far for some of the college basketball bets that we're getting, mostly because both sites are kind of restricting how many bets that they give us, especially underdogs. So we'll see. But yes, guys, let's go ahead and get into the bet of the day, starting with the underdog slip, and then we'll get into PrizePicks. So 3 slip bet for underdog. Again, with both of these, slight prop line differences. So if you think the game is going to blow out and you're a little bit worried about how much it could blow out to the point where these two are not getting that much run, you could bet the under on PrizePicks. And then same thing here, a little bit of a middling opportunity, but I like the overs more so here. And it's worth calling out, guys, before we get into the PrizePicks bet, we are on a bit of a hot streak. Again, 13 for 16 over the past 2 days, definitely due for a poor day. Okay, we literally had a bad day. I believe it was Sunday or Saturday, and that was coming in off of a 3-day stretch where we missed like 5 bets, hit like 70%. So like it's just a regression to the mean. Okay, like just do not be shocked if that happens. And with some of the bets that we are chasing on both sites where they're not exactly a 54% likelihood bets to hit, it could be today. I'm not saying it's going to be or anything like that, but just know that, you know, I'm about balancing expectations. Okay, that's why I don't necessarily love to share results too much. A good day, people are so much more gung-ho and ready to go, whereas a bad day, people are, this guy's an idiot. So I always like to keep it balanced there. And then for PrizePicks, guys, it is Taco Tuesday, so we have Derek White PRA right now of 21.5. You could place that bet in here with that to make it a 6-slip bet. Overall, again, a lot of decent edges. Doing a little bit of the game stack here with George and Isaiah Collier. We are getting a prop line difference there with Luka as well. And I do like Sharp for over his fantasy score. If you guys want to attach Vessel or Grant as well for the overs that I mentioned, you could do that there as well. Now, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I do want to make a call out as well. I have started a DFS channel specifically, so going to move that content into a different channel. It's just called 9 to 5 DFS. Okay, so just look it up on YouTube. Actually, if you go to the homepage, it is linked in the homepage as well. So we'll be covering NFL DFS, NBA DFS there as well. I hate that YouTube makes me do that, but they do. Different algorithms, so gotta appeal to the algorithm, unfortunately. I wish I could just be like, all right, this content is for this audience, this content is for this audience, and keep it all in the same channel. That'd be great, but that's just not how it's set up currently. So if you guys could, it would greatly be appreciated if you guys went on over there and subscribed to the channel. We only have 27 right now, starting to get it going. So if you guys could do that, I would appreciate that greatly. All right, that's going to do it for this video, guys. I appreciate you being here. Good luck. Leave a like, subscribe to this channel. If you guys would like access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, make sure to head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to all those tools for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Appreciate you guys being here. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.